Welcome everyone to the Center Reduce Nation podcast. We have a very special guest with Lucas and I this evening. Welcome, Mr. Leo Rautins.
How are you guys doing?
We're doing well. We're doing well. How about yourself?
Can't complain. It's still in isolation, but hey, like everybody else, right?
Yeah. No, most definitely. So, for those of our listeners who may not necessarily know who you are, we're just going to go over just some very quick questions over your basketball career, your work now with the Raptors. And, so let's just start. So, in 1983, you became only the second Canadian ever drafted in the first round to the NBA. What was that experience like at the time for yourself and for Canada as a whole?
Well, obviously it was a great experience for me personally because that was my dream, right? I wanted to be an NBA player. I wanted to be an NBA player and then to be drafted in the first round. It kind of fulfilled my dreams to that point. And as far as Canada, I always said that there weren't a lot of people doing what I was doing. So whether a kid said, "Wow, shoot, he made it," or he said, "Wow, he made it."
Yes.
I don't care how you looked at it. It gave young players and kids an opportunity to say, "You know what, I can do that too. Why not?" So to me, it was when you're kind of one of the first people doing something, that you're opening some doors and it's kind of leading the way. And I took that seriously. I wanted a lot of young players to understand that if you put in the time, you put in the work, it's something you can do.
No, most definitely. And then your career ended in around the time 1997. You were inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame. What was that moment like? Were you surprised for the phone call?
I don't know. I don't get hung up on things like that too much. It's obviously nice. It's nice when people recognize you for any accomplishments and things like that. But at the same time, you do what you love. You have fun doing it, and if those things come, they come. They're great. I don't spend a lot of time worrying about it. I think oftentimes those honors and awards are maybe more meaningful to people around you that have kind of shared your experience or know that like your family or your parents that know what you went through, the journey. I think for them it's kind of fun to see and be a part of. So it's always cool.
Excellent.
So you talked a little bit there about the journey, and after doing a little bit of extensive research, I found out that you actually had about 14 surgeries. Is that true?
Actually, closer to 30.
Wow,
Yeah,
so I was way off.
Yeah, no, I've had my share of stuff to deal with, and actually, I had a major surgery back in during the All-Star break in February, major back surgery, and that was kind of an eye-opener for me simply because I had major back surgery when I was 11 years old. And in the time between the two, I had a whole career, a life, and all kinds of things that have happened. And every doctor that looked at my situation, my back, and everything this year, all said, like, wait a minute. Number one, how are you walking into my office? And number two, how'd you ever play? So when I hear that, it's almost like it's very humbling. It's like a blessing. The fact that a lot of what I do today is obviously based on who I was and what I did as a player and my career. To know that maybe that shouldn't have happened. To know that maybe somehow I beat the system. I got over. It's very humbling because injuries can destroy your career, can end it, and everything. And somehow I survived all those injuries to get to a point, to the point that I did. So it's actually an incredible journey in some ways.
So I guess that actually brings me into my next question. I wanted to talk a little bit about retirement. What I found interesting about that was you kind of took a year off hiatus to do a little bit of broadcasting with the Olympics. Did that make it easier to transition into the broadcasting world, or was it still tough because you realized you were kind of done with basketball? And
at that point, I wasn't done. I came back and played. The best advice I ever got in terms of maybe career and academics. At Syracuse, I was at the broadcast school of journalism at Syracuse, excellent school, and I spoke with my professor, my senior year, he said, "Hey, your degree means nothing. Your resume means everything." And he's talking to college guys. I'm going, your resume, right? But I never forgot that. And because I had a lot of injuries. Every time I was hurt, I worked in media. When I was playing in Italy, I wrote for the Corriere dello Sport. When I was like I said, I did the Olympics between my rookie year and my second year on CBC. I did Syracuse basketball games when I couldn't play. I worked for ESPN, and I did all these things to build a resume. And so all of a sudden, when the doctor says in 1992, "You're done. You can't play anymore. You're finished." I felt sorry for myself. I had a little pity party for 24 hours. I cracked open a good bottle of wine. Next day I woke up. I made a few phone calls, and a week later I was working on TV, and I've been doing that since. So, and again, you plan ahead. So when the Raptors came into being, and they were looking for a person in my role, I had three things that came into my favor. One, I had played in the NBA. Two, I had experience as a broadcaster. And three, I was the only Canadian that had the first two. So it worked out. It worked out pretty good. But again, it's all because I never forgot that lesson from my professor.
And yeah, absolutely. And you were blessed with the opportunity to work with the Raptors because they were obviously starting out at the time. If you can talk to me about that, let us know. Let the listeners know a little bit of what it was like to cover the Raptors, at some of their lowest points, and as of last year, some of their highest points.
You talk about a journey. That's an amazing journey right here.
Yeah.
From being at the very first game to the championship game, and there were a lot of lows without a doubt, and obviously a championship is an extreme high, and ups and downs in the middle, but. It's the whole process, and to me, it was the whole ride has been a lot of fun. I mean, there's been so many different things, and just seeing kind of different courses a team takes with different management. And when I say management, I mean from ownership and the business management to the team management. I've seen all kinds of transitions. And then you see what works, what doesn't work, to finally you get to a point where everything just seems to come together, and that's what we saw. So it's to be a part of that, experience all that from day one is pretty amazing. Like I said, I've had I always dreamed that when I was playing that Toronto would get a team and I'd play for Toronto, and unfortunately the clock ran out on me, and there were a lot of rumors it would happen while I was still playing, but it never happened. And so the next best thing is to do what I do. Sit courtside and eat popcorn and call basketball.
Well, Leo, you brought a really good point about management, and Masai Ujiri, has definitely done wonders since he's come on with the Raptors. And after last year's championship run, he's obtained legendary status in Toronto. What have you learned about him? And don't limit to one reason. Do you think, or what he's been able to bring to the Raptors that didn't surprise you as you saw him kind of bring the team along with his philosophy?
Well, obviously I got to know Masai when he was with the Raptors prior to being the GM. He was on the staff, and so we had many conversations, and I always had a great deal of respect for him. I mean, he knew the game. He was a hard worker. He handled himself the right way. He handled himself very managerially. I mean, he always had this kind of a way about him. And when you think about what he's done, as the GM of the Raptors, right? He's a leader. And to be a leader, you got to be a visionary, right? You got to see ahead. And not only do you have to see ahead, then you have to be able to convince other people of what you're seeing, and you have to sell that idea. Yes. And from the minute he came back to Toronto, Masai talked about a championship. Masai, said, "Hey, screw what everybody else thinks. You don't think Toronto's good enough? It is good enough. You don't think people are going to come here? They're going to come here. You're trying to screw us, screw you." It was. We're not taking anybody's garbage anymore. We belong with the elite. we're going to be champions. And I think that, if you don't believe it yourself, no one else is going to believe it.
Yes.
Right. And Messiah certainly talked like he believed it, and he sold that vision. And you got to be smart. When you see a lot of general managers, they'll collect talent, they'll acquire players, but you need mix, you need chemistry, you need from the coaches, of the management, all the way down to the last guy on the bench. You need chemistry, and if it doesn't work, you're not going to be successful. And he's done a great job of finding, from players to coaches, his management team, a team. And a team means you work together, you find solutions, you hold each other accountable, the whole bit. So Messiah has been tremendous in his role, and one of the things that makes him special too is that he came from Nigeria. He's an African background, and the work he does with Giants of Africa. He's not somebody that came, made the big bucks, and is living the life. I mean, he's a guy that realized, understands his roots, understands how fortunate he is. He worked hard to get here, but you got to be fortunate to get yourself in situations, and he very much wants to give back and really change the culture, change the opportunities for so many kids in Africa, and he, as well as he does in Canada, and as an organization to work in a community. So, Messiah is a very special person. I think the Raptors are very fortunate to have him.
Excellent, Leo. And then, as we're heading into last fall, there was much excitement after the championship, and then the world, not just the NBA, but the world stood still this past March. With the commencement of the pandemic that hit, finally, arrived in North America. The NBA became the first major league sports league to cancel their season, or at least put it on hold. What were your immediate thoughts when you started hearing this news trickle down, and just kind of where you potentially see the future of sports going?
Well, I tell you what, I'm kind of a news freak. I'm the guy that's got CNN, MSNBC. I'm looking on my Twitter timeline. I got all the. I try to stay up on what's happening in the world all the time, and I knew there was something really bad going on. And unfortunately, the American government, especially the White House, was downplaying everything that was happening. And what Adam Silver did was really lead the world. And when and that sounds, why are you saying the world? Well, think about what happened. The United States government wasn't protecting its people. Right. Adam Silver said, wait a minute, no, we're shutting it down. And when Adam Silver shut it down, everybody globally, all the leagues, everybody shut it down. Yeah. So the NBA, and nobody talks about this, which is, odd to me. I mean, the NBA is probably responsible for saving tens of thousands of lives.
I agree.
And they were leaders, which is what Adam Silver and the league does. They've always been leaders. So, and now we're in a position where they're trying to lead back in, and they're doing it extremely carefully. They're going to centralize. They're going to limit the number of teams. They're going to limit only essential people involved. No fans. It's still going to be globally televised for everybody. People are going to see the games, but it's going to be different. But he's not taking any risks. He's showing people, if you are going to do it, and look at what's happening with other major leagues. They're having all these differences and all these issues and not able to get back. Well, why? And because they don't have the leadership to make it happen. Sorry, as we talk here, I'm just letting my animals in. Adam Silver is just leading the way. And as we go forward, I don't know if anybody knows what's going to happen right now because, hey, NBA is scheduled to start playing July 31st, but we don't know what's going to happen 2 weeks from now.
Yes.
The pandemic could take a turn, with all the social unrest and all the people getting so close and all. We could have, everybody talks about a second wave. I mean, if a second wave happened now as opposed to in when everybody suspects it would happen during flu season. Who knows if that changes things, but the future, I don't think anybody really knows what that's going to be like for next season and sports in general yet. I think there's a lot of ifs, a lot of question marks, but I know one thing: if anybody's going to lead the way, it's going to be the NBA as far as how to handle it and how to go about your business.
Excellent.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more on that. The NBA is clearly showing that they're the ringleaders and all that. And I'm proud to say that the NHL followed suit relatively quick too, and they were able to shut that league down. And they've done a good job at following the protocols so far. But on the topic of quarantine, have you been able to keep in touch with Jack Armstrong or Matt Denton or anyone else in the TSN crew?
Oh yeah,
how they doing?
We always communicate, we talk, and we've actually done a lot of digital stuff where we see each other and we've done things. But we're actually a very close knit group, so we communicate, we text, we've done Zoom chats, all kinds of stuff where we kind of get together, share a glass of wine or whatever, and talk. So. It's everybody's doing their part. I mean, everybody's isolating. Everybody's, I've been in Florida the whole time. I actually came, the Raptors played. I was in Sacramento, came back. I was in studio while the Raptors in Utah, which was actually a good thing because I wasn't exposed to anything as the team was. And then right after the Utah game, I flew to Florida because figuring we had 3 days off before the next game, and I've been here ever since. Because the league was suspended. So I'm just like I said, the quarantine. In some ways, I've been lucky here. Obviously it's warm. You have sun. I had major back surgery during the All-Star game, and I came back 9 days after surgery to work, and that was really pushing it. So I've had an opportunity to rehab and take care of my body and get healthy again. So I've taken advantage of the quarantine and the isolation. I tried to take a negative and turn it into a positive.
No, that's good to hear. Making mention of your social media, it's evident that you like to have fun on there. And let alone the twine and wine clips there that happen every night, which I love, by the way. You've made mention of your 4 little pets there: Cooper, Charlotte, Rico, and Summer. If you want to just talk quickly about them and maybe what their companionship meant to you during these weird times.
Well, I don't know if you got to have pets to kind of appreciate what they can mean to you. And, we got a good group, man. I got 2 monsters, 2 Leon Burgers, Summer and Cooper, and they're my. Look at this guy. See right there? This is the big one.
Wow,
There's big Cooper right there.
Wow.
There's a monster right there. So you got they're great. So they keep you hopping. You have fun. And Rico the cat. Big Cooper, they always mess around, wrestle all the time, fight. They have great. I try to put them on video. A lot of people like it, and that's kind of honestly what I've been trying to do on the social media side is, the twine and wine kind of happened by accident. TSN wanted us to just have some fun with the NBA horse competition, so everybody do something, talk a little trash. So I did it. I go, people seem to enjoy it, right? And I think that people don't have sports. A lot of people are struggling. There's financial struggles, health struggles right now. All racial struggles. All people dealing with injustices and biases and so many negative things that. I think it's a good opportunity for have a laugh, right?
Yes.
Take a break. Do something fun. Cheers. Let's all cheers at 5 o'clock and have a smile. And then, like I said, with the pets, everybody seems to enjoy all the scraps my animals have and all the fun, catching lizards and all that. And then I also realize that social media, you have a voice, and I think it's important. I've been raised that we're all one, right? We're all in this together. I don't care if you're black, white, green, yellow. I care about what kind of person you are. You treat people with respect, you get respect back. The color of your skin has no basis on judgment of anything in my eyes. And so what we're seeing right now is I understand the unrest. I understand the struggle. That what's happening right now, the injustices that black people have been dealing with, and There's no reason for it. It's mind-boggling to me that we're in 2020 right now, and African Americans are struggling with this. And if anybody tries to deny there's an issue, if anybody tries to deny there's a problem, you're fooling yourself. If there's a problem, and I see it, and I think we all have an obligation to stand up to it. And you can't ask. You can't ask the people that are being put down and the people that are being marginalized to speak up. They are speaking up. They've been speaking up. So it's the rest of us. It's the white people that are doing it that need to say enough of this garbage. Yeah. So I think it's important. If you have it's important for everybody. But fortunately, I have people that do follow me, and if you can have an influence with your voice, I think you have to use it. I think it's important.
Excellent.
You know what? We wanted to go in a different direction there, but since you brought it up, I think we might as well follow suit and stick with it. Our original thought for the interview, truthfully, was to get your perspective on COVID and the future of sports and what all that's going to look like. But clearly, after what transpired over the past week and the murder of George Floyd, I guess it would be insensitive. Us at Center of These Nation felt the need that we should mention it. We were going to bring it up a little bit later in the podcast, but since you already kind of mentioned it, it makes sense to talk about it now. So with that said, one of our questions to you, Leo, is can you just touch on the importance of using your specific platform to influence people via Twitter, to offer your support and combat issues that people are facing today, especially those of color?
Well, I don't think anybody should be. Like I said, I don't care whether it's the color of your skin, your sexual preference, your choice of religion, your stature, whether you're rich, poor, got a good job or not. I mean, I don't think that weighs into my judgment of you, and I'm shocked when I see that. So if there's things that I've seen Indigenous people, have serious problems and marginalized, and I tried to step up and help in those situations. I have so many, most of my best friends are black guys, right? My buddies, and when I see the struggles they've had, I can't imagine being a parent of having my children leave the house and I have to be terrified if what's going to happen. I've never, my wife and I talk about, I've never had to, I got some kids that do some crazy things, but I never have to worry about them going to a traffic stop and being shot. I never have to worry about, them being stopped for being an idiot and then losing their life. Kids are going to be kids, and a black parent shouldn't have to worry about their child coming home, being brought home in a bag. I mean, those things should not exist. And what we're seeing with police, the injustices, and you're watching. Hey, and don't get me wrong. There's wonderful police out there. We need police, but there's a lot of things that are happening that are wrong, and there's a lot of bad apples, and we have to change that. We absolutely have to change that. You look at the criminal sentences of a lot of minorities; they don't make sense. And more so in the United States than we see in Canada. But believe it, anybody that says that Canada is free of this is crazy. There's issues, from, like I said, across the board that have to be addressed. And maybe I'm hoping that right now, this is an opportunity we all speak, right? From bad can come a lot of good, and you hope that people will speak, will listen to each other, and I think that's the big one. You got to listen. You got to listen to each other, and we see that whole situation that came up with Breeze and New Orleans, and the quarterback saying what he's saying. Like, you can't tell me how to respect the flag. Right. You listen to people now. He talks about his family and being in a war. How many black soldiers were in the war and came back and were treated like garbage?
Yes.
So they had the same experiences as your family fighting and defending the country and losing their lives, but they didn't come back to being treated like garbage. Yeah. So when you talk about respecting the flag, you better realize there's different perspectives. And my wife is American, and she hasn't stood up for the American national anthem in the last 3 years. She refuses to stand up because right now this is not her America.
Yeah.
This is not what America stands for. From the White House to the things we're seeing on the street, and so and then you look at what we saw with the idiots on that one news station. If LeBron speaks up on social issues, you say, "Hey, shut up and dribble." But if Breeze is entitled to have an opinion, well, wait a minute. LeBron is socially, LeBron has done more to help children, to change lives than Drew Brees ever has. LeBron has tried to make a positive impact in the community among all kids, especially black kids. I mean, he's done so many things that we should be putting him up on a pedestal. And for people to criticize and say things. So, things got to change. Things have to change. And I'm only hoping that, like I said, I'm hoping that all this garbage leads to something good. I really do, because, like I said, we're all people, and we all got to treat each other with respect, and just like I said, just treat each other with respect, love each other, and understand that, diversity is not looking at somebody as different. It's appreciating how different the difference is. And that's what I always say, what makes Toronto such a cool city and make Canada such a cool country is diversity. And we have to appreciate that. We have to appreciate, walking down Yonge Street and hearing all these different languages and seeing the different cultures and how they live and how they interact in the Canadian culture or in the American culture. So to me, I'm really hoping this leads to change in a positive way.
And most definitely, Leo. And that actually kind of brings us, because, essentially we are a hockey blog. And, I'm not sure if you followed what's been going on in hockey since last fall with, they've been, going through their own racial issues with, black players being attacked in the stands. And it almost just seems like we're at a point where everyone's had enough. It doesn't matter who you are, black, white, no matter what the sport is. How can sport begin the healing process? Because for a lot of times we don't even think about it. You go into a stadium and you look around, and sport can be a unifying factor. What can sport do moving forward to start healing some of these wounds that some of the people within the color, in the black community and within other minority communities are feeling right now?
Well, lead the way, right? Lead the way. I think sport has such a high profile in our lives, right? I mean, athletes have high profiles. Millions of people watch sports. So the last thing you need is, seeing insensitivity, seeing racism in hockey or in football or in basketball. You don't need that. I mean, you have to be setting the example. So I think sport can be extremely positive influence. And to me, like I said, I play basketball, and it's a predominantly black sport. But I never thought of, to me, I didn't, if people say, you see color. Yeah, of course you see color. But I never saw a person as color. I saw a person for who they are. And when I played, and I think that's one of the things that basketball taught me is, I played with a lot of good dudes. I met so many good people. And the fact that they were black, I don't care. The fact that they were white, I don't care. Like I said, some of I have unbelievable friends that are white, black, Asian. I have all kinds of friends, Indian. So to me, it doesn't. I think sport can lead in a lot of different ways, and I think it should lead in a lot of different ways. That it's about competing, it's about playing hard, it's about leaving it all on the ice, on the field, on the court, and sport is about respect, right? How do you gain respect in sport? You do your job, right? You kick somebody's butt. You perform at a level that's above, whether it's expectation or just above the other team. You perform at high levels. That's how you get respect.
Yes.
You don't get respect from, by what do you got in your wallet. You don't get respect by the color of your skin. You get respect by how you perform. And I think that should translate into the world we live in. It's like I said, it all comes down to, just like I said, we're all human beings. We're all in this together, man. Simple as that.
And Leo, I have one final question, and you've been very generous with your time this evening, but I do have one final question. And I'm sure you've probably come across this as well as you've been tweeting, and being very active, on these social issues. Is you always get those people that will come to you and say, just leave it to hockey or leave it to basketball, or why don't you just focus on that and not the politics? What do you say to those people that don't realize that the people that are actually suffering are in hockey, are in basketball? So it's not like they're exclusive; they're really much inclusive. That we really need to start healing the sport and healing the people inside of the sport, and that they are one of the same essentially.
Well, what makes me laugh is that you'll have a teacher, a lawyer, a Bay Street guy, a truck driver say to an athlete or a sports person, "Hey, stick to sport." Wait a minute. Okay, stick to driving your truck. Stick to your legal briefs. Stick to teaching math. I mean, come on, seriously?
Yes.
And I think that's a problem on Twitter. You can have I may not agree with your opinion. Doesn't mean that you're a bad person. Doesn't mean you're wrong,
yes,
and I'm right. You're entitled to your opinion. Now, I may not agree with you, and I may voice a different opinion, but I don't have to call you an idiot for your opinion. I can voice my opinion.
Yes.
And it just seems that everybody wants to attack, antagonize, disparage people. But it always cracks me up when someone says stick to sports or stick to sports broadcasting. I go, dude, you're not sticking to anything. You're rapping. You're blasting your mouth. And
yes,
what do you do?
Yes.
And I know one thing, that I may be a sports guy, but sports has also made me a worldly person. I've been all over the world. I've been exposed to all kinds of things that a lot of people that are doing a lot of talking have never seen.
Yes.
I've been given viewpoints of different races, different sexes, different nationalities, different living in different countries. So I think the exposure I've had through my lifetime has given me a lot of interesting experiences and perspectives that a lot of people that are saying, "Hey, shut up and mind your own business," have never had. I don't pay much attention to that. My philosophy on Twitter is you can say you don't like what I have to say. I don't have an issue with that.
Yes.
You want to be a D-bag. I'll give you one chance. I'll respond to you, and then you're done. I'm not wasting time. The nice thing about Twitter, I do have the option of blocking, and I don't understand why. If you don't like what I say, what are you doing on my timeline?
Yes.
Get lost. Right? What do you care?
No, that's perfectly fair. You know what, Leo? It has been a pleasure, and hopefully, the next time we have you on, we're talking about something, more positive times. But if you can leave our listeners with just one final thought, given the current situation, what would it be?
Stay strong. Stay strong right now. Just keep. We're gonna get through this. We're gonna all get through this. But let's get through this together. Let's help each other. Realize that whatever your position is, look at somebody else. Everybody's got a struggle. You may not see it. You may not recognize it. You not know it. But everybody's got their own struggle. So have some empathy, have some compassion, and realize that we're all going to get through this, and we're going to get through this easier and faster if we do it together.
Well, thanks very much, Leo, for joining us this evening. And do you want to tell our listeners where they can find you on Twitter and how they can kind of continue to follow what you're doing? And
yeah, it's pretty hard at Leo Rautins.
So no one stole that handle from you, eh, Leo?
and I think I'm on Instagram. I think it's Twine and Wine, Leo's Twine and Wine. I don't know what it is. Something like that. Leo's Twine and Wine. So
right on.
that's it. That's all. That's all I got. You know.
That's perfect. Thanks so much, Leo, for your time this evening.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Thanks, Leo. Take care.
Take care.